toda parte de Puerto Rico. Esta bomba yo la dedico a toda mi gente de Puerto Rico, a la familia Fontanet, allá en Cupe Alto y Lo Mejía en Vega Baja. ¡Que gocen! ¡Sí!
Bomba, bomba, para siempre.
Bomba, bomba está presente, aquí lo canta mi gente.
Bomba, bomba, para siempre.
Baila, baila y goza, mi bomba puertorriqueña.
Bomba, bomba. Bomba, bomba. Bomba, bomba. Bomba, bomba. Bomba, bomba, para siempre.
Most name brand bars and body washes you rub on your skin are classified by the FDA as synthetic detergent. It's not even real soap. Stop marinating your man meat in unholy ingredients that are harmful to your well-being, body, and sperm. Start treating your body to the natural, nourishing, lathery goodness of Dr. Squatch soap. Get ready to step out of the shower feeling alive. I'm talking about natural, nourishing, cold-pressed, hand-cut soap from
This archaeology.
Get out of there, Dan!
See. And we should be live now. Theoretically. I mean, my mic's live. Oh, yeah, you're live too. Good.
All right. Well, hey, everybody. How's it going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello,
How's
everyone.
it going? Welcome to You Call This Archaeology.
Episode
And
88.
Richie and I are going to be stepping on each other.
I know.
Yeah. Richie and I are going to be stepping on each other a little bit because I know we've got a lag. But yeah, episode 88. And this is also on the Archaeology Show feed. So
Oh,
welcome to those on the Archaeology Show. And hopefully this isn't too choppy.
Yeah. Alrighty. So is our audio good?
Yep. Just checked it. Already sounds okay.
Oh, perfect. Alrighty.
So, yeah.
Man, so how have you been?
So what's going on, Richie?
Oh, let's see. Let's see. I got back from a project and pretty much on hold everything else. Although, like I was saying before the show rolled, at least people are still answering my emails, mostly.
Right.
Also,
Yeah, I was going to say, Amy says happy Sunday. Nice to see you, Amy.
oh, yeah. Oh, hang on. Let me go
Yeah.
look at the chat, too. Oh, shoot.
So,
I always forget.
yeah, I'm up in Washington State right now. I'm on the peninsula, we call it, which is oddly like far from Seattle, but we're only I'm only like 8 miles from the ferry dock, which takes you straight into downtown Seattle.
Oh, really?
And so, yeah, we were actually half considering doing that because there's a lot of stuff right at the ferry dock there. We could go to Ivar's Fish Bar. We could do some things. But Seattle's kind of having a hard time right now. There's a lot of protesters going on and down there, and they've been,
Oh.
burning things and destroying things up on Capitol Hill, and all that's not too far from the ferry docks.
Oh,
And
really?
so I'm not really sure what's even open and available or safe to go to. So we might just hang out over here.
Wait, have you seen have you seen any of the invading troops getting ready yet?
I have not. And you'd think they'd be amassing along the border over here to just take the ferry across to the battle zone, but they're not over here. So, yeah. Yeah, we actually avoided Portland because of that.
Oh, really?
We went up the coast. Yeah, we're not going to be able to avoid it on the way home because that would take us way out of our way, but it was an easy route to avoid it on the way up here. Because when you go through Portland on the interstate, you're not, I mean, you're just like a couple streets from downtown, and there's a whole bunch of twists and turns, which aren't very fun in an RV anyway. And, a lot of roads you got to make sure you get on, a lot of off ramps and things like that. Even if you're just staying on I-5, it's kind of a nasty mess through Portland. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but we'll see. In about 2 weeks, we'll be going through there.
Oh, wait.
So,
So how are things in the RV?
things are good. Things are good. It's a used rig, so there are some issues which we're going to have taken care of. It's under warranty, so no big deal, but they're a little bit annoying. Like our air conditioner in the other bedroom is not coming on. It was working 2 weeks ago, and now it's not coming on anymore. Yeah, we've got another air conditioner up front, and that one's working fine, but it's little things like that. Plus, we've got a leak in our shower. I know where the leak is, but it's hard to fix.
Oh,
And
wait. What do you mean a leak, though?
it's like it's a corner shower, and where the glass walls, the piece of glass sits in this like these metal inserts, and then all that is fastened to the surround for the shower.
Yeah.
And the water seems to be leaking out from between the glass and the metal insert. So the seal in there, when they put in the silicone seal, wasn't very good. And I used some caulking material, and I sealed up around where the whole piece meets the tub surround, because I thought that's where it was leaking.
Yeah.
And I think it probably was a little bit, but it didn't fix it because it's still leaking up in the metal and the glass area there. So I've got to try to fix that now. I mean, we're gonna probably have that whole thing replaced under warranty, but in the meantime, we still need to shower. So gotta get it fixed.
Interesting.
Yeah. I jammed, because right on the outsides of those panels on either side of the 90-degree corner there is one side is the sink, and another side is a tall like closet kind of thing, bathroom.
Yeah.
And so I jammed towels in between there on both sides to collect the water while you are showering. But it's a typical RV shower too, with a head that you can turn off. So you take shower. I don't really want the water running continuously anyway, because like when you're taking a shower at home,
Yeah.
you can kind of step out of the water a little bit if you need to, and
yeah.
you know, so you can soap up and do your hair and stuff like that. But I can't really do that in the RV shower, so I shut it off anyway, right at the thing.
Ooh.
So you get used to using less water for when you're boondocking. I mean, we're connected to a city water source, so it doesn't really matter how much we use, but you get used to that idea. But also, like,
Yeah.
I don't like the water just running full on all over me when I'm trying to soap up, because then it just washes right off, and
True.
I don't know, it feels weird. So, so yeah, that conserves water a little bit, and then also
Yeah.
leaks less.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
You know, it's interesting. Like, for the first time in a long
Hopefully my audio's coming through, but
Oh, it definitely is.
sorry.
No.
Saying hope.
Yeah, but your
Okay,
audio's
good, because I
coming
see
through
my
fine.
picture's freezing up a little bit.
Well, I mean, as long as
Okay,
the audio is
good,
coming
good.
through, I mean, should be good enough.
Yeah.
But, you know,
Yeah,
I was
no,
out
that's fine.
camping on a camping project for the first time in forever a couple of weeks ago. And I made me think, wow, my God, am I doing this wrong? Or is everyone just, is everyone, you know, or are campers just terrible people now?
Yeah. What are you referring to anything in particular?
Yeah, well, we were at a national forest, and I was just camping the normal way,
Mhm.
you know, I do things, you know, have my tent and have my shower and kind of neat, and then, you know, the people next to us right before we left basically had like the whole contents of their car and all their camping equipment just strewn everywhere.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like they were all that That's the one thing I've noticed. I don't know if you've noticed this where you are, but it seems like people get to these camping spots and then they just don't want to leave. Like they're in this this huge national forest, and then suddenly they're just like at the campsite all day, or they're inside their camper all day. Other than
Oh,
when it's time
geez.
to come outside and like make a fire or something. And I'm like, man, am I doing
Yeah.
this wrong?
Well, I do think that some people like to just leave their house and be somewhere else, and there is something to be said for that. But you're right. When people just spend their whole time inside and never go out and do anything wherever they're camping, it's like,
Yeah.
well, why didn't you just go camp, you know, in a Walmart parking lot then? If you're going to stay inside the camper all the time, why are you taking up a good campsite? You know?
Oh, you know, that's also the
So-
other interesting thing, because obviously I've been watching a lot of van life videos on YouTube, and a lot of people who are posting these you know, why van life sucks sort of videos are like, you know, literally just go from city to city to city, and I'm like, you know, I don't feel like that's the whole point of the van life, is to just go from city to city to city. I might be wrong.
Mhm.
Because, you know, a lot of them are like, you know, I can't leave my camper ever because stuff might get stolen, and I'm like, why didn't you just go Airbnb to Airbnb to Airbnb if you didn't want to be out in the countryside? You know, maybe I'm looking at that wrong too.
Yeah. Well, again, I don't know. I guess it depends on where they're staying in their vans. You know, like for us, we're paying for the campsite this week just because we wanted to be here for some specific reasons. But we've got this membership with a campground that basically gets us free camping.
Yeah.
And you know, otherwise, we would not be able to afford to stay in RV parks all the time, because it's
Yeah.
you know, anywhere from $30 to $50 a night. And
Yeah.
you're sure, I guess if that's your only expense, fine. But we're still paying a mortgage back in Reno,
Yeah.
and you know,
obviously
making a
you're paying for
payment
the
on this
RV.
thing. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, making the payment on this, and you know, you combine all that stuff up, and then if we were also paying, you know, $2,000 a month in park fees,
Whew.
well, that adds up, you know. And there are some parks though where you can get like a monthly rate, and those can be $600 to $900 a month, which isn't terrible.
Yeah, but that
and-
that's almost the same as like renting a place. Well, I mean that is.
Yeah, true. Well, I mean, I guess the bigger difference is, and this is why we are going the RV route, is because if you don't like it, you can easily move.
Oh, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if you don't like your apartment, you cannot easily move.
True. But, you know, I
Yeah.
feel like you know, on those Facebook archaeology groups, a lot of people have been thinking that this is like a way to essentially live rent free, and it's definitely not.
No, I mean, it's really not, because if you do, that's called boondocking if you're not hooked up to anything. And I'll tell you what, I mean, for power's easy to
Yeah.
boondock. You can get yourself socked up with solar, and if you get some lithium batteries, but that you're looking at $2,000 to $5,000 to set yourself up with solar and lithium. Now you could get solar without lithium, but you're still looking at a couple $1,000s for panels.
Yeah.
To make it worth it. And then you got to talk about water and then your dump station. Now, if you're out in the middle of nowhere on BLM land, sure, you can just go to the bathroom outside if you want, and you don't have to worry about dumping.
Oh, I do all the time.
Yeah, but water is another issue.
Yeah.
And water is something that you're gonna have to replenish every once in a while.
Yeah.
And whether you're replenishing the tank in your RV or camper, or you're just bringing water, that's something that you're gonna have to go back to civilization for. And you could still live off the grid that way, but man, it gets tough. It gets tough to do it continuously.
Well, it's interesting because one of the channels I was watching, I checked out a few videos of. He just bought oh guys, I want to say it's a Winnebago, but the Travato, which is the Mercedes-Benz Sprinter camper van conversion they do. And he was saying that his freshwater capacity was 18 gallons, and I'm like, I have a capacity to carry more than that in my truck, just in like the back rack alone.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that's so little. Also, my God, I didn't realize this, but he specifically bought the Travato with the lithium package, and that adds almost $50,000 because he paid like what, $130 for his, and like the basic Travato with just the standard old-fashioned style generator is like $80,000. I'm like, my God.
Yeah.
That is a lot of money.
When you add solar, not only are you adding panels and you're typically changing your batteries for the lithium, the more expensive lithium, because they hold more.
Yeah.
But not only are you doing that, but you also need all the wiring for your solar panels. You need the solar controller because you need a special controller to go between AC power, DC power, solar. Are the solar charging your batteries? Are you running off solar? All that needs to be controlled through a power panel. And that's like when we go solar on this thing, we're going to have to get a new power panel because our current electrical setup just won't take in solar efficiently. I mean, we could just hook solar into the batteries and be done with it, but we need to be able to read that and monitor it and figure out what we're doing. So, real quick, Corey Bruce commented here, Webster on location for a mobile command. Thanks, Corey. So, I'm looking forward to going solar on this, but I don't know when we're going to do it because, like I said, it's going to cost a pretty penny to do it, and I don't. It's not high on our list to do right now, especially since at least until probably January, we're probably going to be in RV parks most of the time just because of our circumstances and what we're going to be doing. Because when we go back to Reno, when we leave Reno the next time, if we end up on this archaeology project, then we're probably going to be at that RV park that's up there just because it's convenient. And so that's a park. And then when we go back east, I mean, the trip getting back east, we'll probably be boondocking quite a bit. But once we get there, we're going to be basically in the same city for about 3 months. Wow. So we found a park there that's got I think it's $800 a month, and to stay there the whole time, which is not too bad.
Yeah,
so
it's not bad at all.
That's
actually
good. It'll be even better if somebody's renting our apartment by then, or our townhouse.
Yeah.
So, hopefully.
Wow, that's interesting.
But yeah.
Because I got a whole bunch of new camping equipment, and I am, depending on when I can get this whole computer situation solved, because my new graphics card, because I had to get a second new graphics card, is supposedly down the street at the post office, and so hopefully they can drop it off tomorrow. We'll see.
Nice.
Yeah, because literally I haven't been able to do any editing. Like this is about as much as I can do with this computer right now. What we're doing right now.
Yeah. Hey, let me mention real quick because there's people listening to this recorded on the Archaeology Show podcast. And I just want to mention, if you want to see us live, head over to arcpodnet.com/Facebook, or you can hit us on Richie's YouTube channel.
Yeah, Happy Archaeology Fun Time.
Yeah, and those of you that are watching us right now live, there was 12 a second ago, now there's 11. Please hit the share button and share it to your page, or share it to a group that you're a part of that might get something out of this. So I know we're just a bunch of goofy archaeologists not really talking about archaeology, but it's still kind of fun and helps us get more listeners and keep it going. So there you go.
Well, I feel like it also, we're adding like reality to some people, because I mean, how many people, I remember when the van life just used to be called sleeping in the bed of your pickup truck, and you didn't have
Yeah,
to like decorate
yeah,
it with all sorts of junk.
I know, I know. So
Like kind
yeah,
of
and people are really getting into the van thing too. The
true.
Harvest Host location we were at last night, we saw I just overheard them talking because I just said hi to one of them, and
Yeah.
but we all kept our social distance, so we didn't really go socialize. But there were three other campers there,
Yeah.
and one was just a small camper trailer, this husband and wife,
Yeah.
and then another one was these two ladies in a Winnebago van, and
Yeah.
then
Ooh, that's the
a
one I was
lady and her
talking about. That's
husband
the
in
Travada.
another. Yeah, exactly. There were two of them,
Yeah.
and one was black and one was silver. They were slightly different, but they were both the Winnebago Travado, basically.
Oh.
And
Yeah.
and they had both. It's weird because they had not planned this, but they had both flown to Iowa to get their vans because of the price.
Oh.
So they flew to Iowa to get their van, and then they both were from Washington, and they were talking about that in Iowa, and now they're both at the same free Harvest Host campsite last night. Oddly
Wow.
enough, like a month later, because they took a while to drive them back. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I was almost thinking, because I mean, I keep watching all these YouTube videos, and I have to admit, moderately tempted by the what do they call it? The Airstream Base Camp.
Oh
Which,
yeah.
yeah, which there's like a lady I was watching, and I've seen her like being interviewed on multiple channels. So basically, she's got herself and her dog and her cat and this like little 16-inch travel trailer.
Nice.
Yeah. But then again, I think, my God, that's one of the reasons I'm gonna. I mean, every time I go out like camping, I'm like, do I really need? I mean, what am I missing? Am I missing something? Do I actually need more than this? Because I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
people. I mean, you and I and Rachel have done a lot of camping, and I feel like everyone's
Mhm.
always freaked out about bugs and about mosquitoes or about snakes or whatever. And I don't think
Mhm.
any of us have ever had an issue with any critters or bugs or insects or anything.
I mean, the typical mosquitoes and stuff can get annoying, but otherwise, yeah, you just kind of deal with it.
Yeah.
So
Well,
never really had a big issue. Although I woke up this morning and there was a spider hanging from the ceiling in the RV here. First bug I've actually seen inside the RV.
ah,
So yeah.
but that could happen in like a
But-
house.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, yeah. So and this pretty much is a house. So
Yeah.
you know, yeah, it's I don't know. It's a good time. I've had a couple people ask me in private messages on Facebook too if I think that living in an RV is a good viable alternative to what they want to do.
Yeah.
Is it cheaper? Is it something or else? But man, there's no yes or no answer to that question.
Ah,
There's no, you got to look for your own circumstances and say it's not just about price, because like even if you own a home, you have to have either a home warranty or you have to have the money to be able to cover something that goes wrong, right? If you're renting, you can just call the landlord or you can call the super and you can say, hey, fix this, it's broken, and they'll do it. And a lot of archaeologists rent, and they think that if they go to something like this, it'll be cheaper because it's cheaper than their rent, but they don't realize that if something breaks, you're on it.
Yeah.
Like you're the only one that can fix this, and you can bring it in to get fixed, but it's going to cost you money. And if you don't plan on that and you don't have that as a contingency, then it's not going to work out for you. And then there's a lot of systems on these things too. There's a lot of stuff I've had to learn, and there's a lot of stuff I'm still learning about just maintaining this and keeping it going. It's not like a house. Like, every time we stop somewhere, we put the jacks down, and it levels the coach before we can put our slides out.
Yeah.
Well, both the levels jacks and the slides need to be greased up with silicone spray about once a week. And that's not something they tell you. That's something I learned watching YouTube videos and reading through the manual, but they didn't say that at the dealership. They didn't say anything like that. And there's just all kinds of little things like if we want to keep the battery power going in our coach here, then about once a month I've got to make sure, because we don't have the sealed batteries. We've just got regular lead acid.
Oh, right.
So I've got to pop those caps open once a month and keep them filled with distilled water. You don't have to do that in your house.
No.
So
But you also
you
there's
got to
also,
keep your
like,
terminals clean.
Yeah, but there's also the fact that, like, say you have something smaller and you need to have it serviced, like, say you need a rear axle service, and that might, like, take a week plus. Then and that's as like the only place you can live, then what do you do then?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and that's a huge problem too. You're gonna have to get a hotel room. You're gonna have to get an Airbnb. You're gonna have to live somewhere else while it's getting serviced. Now,
Yeah.
RV service is nice because a lot of times you can still stay in your RV. You might have to go somewhere for the day,
Yeah.
but then they'll butt it up for you and let you sleep on property at night. Not every place, and you got to make sure. But and if they're doing any work to like your bedroom, bathroom, something like that, well, then you're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
So you might have to work that out. Plus, with RV service, I mean, depending on where you're at, a lot of the major cities right now, their RV service centers are overbooked.
Really?
They're 2 months out.
Wow.
You need service right now. Yeah, you're not going to get it. And so if you need emergency service, you can probably get that and pay for it. But if you need just basic maintenance, that's why we haven't had some of the work we need done to it done, because we've been moving around too much and we haven't been in a location long enough for them to actually service it. So I'm waiting to find out about one place in Oregon, but if I don't hear back from them in the next few days, then we're probably going to schedule service for somewhere near the end of the month in Sparks, where we bought this, try to get on the calendar. Because at least there, we still have a house.
Yeah. And a house that's like,
we're going to
empty.
sell. It is, yeah, and we're going to sell everything in that house over the course of 2 weeks when we get back, because I'm hoping to get a renter in there by September 1st if possible. I mean, at the very least, it's October 1st, but I'd love to get somebody in there by September 1st, and that's a tall order because it's going to mean we have to sell everything. But that's why I want to, even if we sell the bed, hell, we'll sleep on our cots in the bedroom. I don't care.
Yeah.
Because if the RV is down getting serviced, then we won't be able to stay in it. So.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, not to keep harping about these videos I've been watching, but not necessarily harping, but maybe making a little observation. It's very interesting that the VW van again. I guess that almost makes sense, but the VW camper vans are still really popular, and yet, from what I remember, those things required maintenance all the time, and were always breaking down. And yet, you see all these van life videos where people are buying these things and like going to like the middle of nowhere, and I'm like, my God, wouldn't you rather have a Toyota?
Well, I'll tell you what, man. These YouTube channels are all the same. They highlight the good stuff, and they don't focus enough on some of the bad stuff and the challenges. Some of the better RV videos I follow, they focus on not only the good times, but they also talk heavily about maintenance. They talk about when something goes wrong, instead of just, this is hard for us to remember too. Like, we've had a couple things go wrong and we haven't done this, but we haven't had anything like go dangerously wrong, like we'd had to stop on the highway and fix something. But I feel like we need to be socially responsible to our YouTube channel if something does go wrong, and don't freak out. Grab the camera before you even call roadside assistance and have my wife filming me. Call roadside assistance, have somebody come over, and then get it all on video. That way someone can learn from that. Someone can learn from having that experience, because you just don't see enough of that on YouTube. You see the fancy sunsets and people sitting there with their glasses of wine in front of a sunset, and you see them, doing all the fun stuff, not living a real life.
Well, what's interesting? One of the channels I follow, he has a van again, and one of the things I noticed, there's like isn't a single video where, I mean, there's actually one video where he went fishing, but every other video, it's just him driving there, him cooking, and then him going home. And and this like plays into some of those van life reality videos where the people are just like, like people see like, your fancy $80,000 Winnebago, camper van, and they know there's all sorts of good stuff in there. And that if you like, if you grab your hiking kit and you go like for a 2 or 3 day hike, that, not everything might be there when you get back.
Yeah.
And like literally
exactly.
so many of these videos, like you don't ever see them going off to do anything that doesn't take more than an afternoon. And that's one of the things I appreciate about my pickup truck, because I realized that when I grab all my I just literally put together a lightweight hiking kit, just in case there's like a ghost town I want to get to, but I can't get there safely with my pickup truck. So when I grab my light hiking kit and go hiking up there and go camping or whatever, there's nothing in it for them to take.
Yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
That's what I appreciate. Oh wait,
So-
we did have a few comments though. What was it? Donna mentioned we luxury camped in a teardrop. Nicer in the heat than the tent, which I have to admit does play into what happened a couple weeks. What was it? No, last week when I was out camping. Because the person I was camping with, because I mean, you've camped with me, so I have that big heater buddy. you know, to heat up my tent. And he also had a brand new heater buddy, but he did not try it out before he went camping. So every morning I'd hear him trying to click his on, and then I'd just be there like dressing up in like the nice heat.
Nice.
So
Nice.
always try everything out before you like try it out at home before you take it out in the field, because man, there's nothing. He was very much irritated at the fact that his heater buddy only worked when it was warm.
Mm.
Like literally, we get back to
Yeah.
camp and he tried it out in the afternoon and it would work, and it's like, well, this is pointless.
I wonder if his gas was just too low. Do you think? And because when those propane cylinders get cold and low, they have a hard time lighting off.
That's
I
true.
don't know.
But I
Yeah.
think he was looking it up too, and I think what he found out is the fact that sometimes they can come the heating element and the little sparking element, and like the thing that keeps it running sometimes can be misadjusted from the factory, and you need to move them like back and forth to get them just working just right. And he wasn't going to
Yeah,
do that in
I
the
could see
field.
that. Right.
Let's see.
Yep. Indeed.
Let's see. Oh, wait, and see. Amy mentioned, isn't that everything in social media? Everyone thing is picture perfect.
Yeah. Talking about only showing the good stuff. Yeah. Totally. That's pretty much the picture of social media right there.
Oh, and Donna also says she has heat and air in hers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't use the AC in my truck anyway, so not usually that concerned with AC.
Yeah. I mean, when there's no breeze, this RV is actually sealed up a little too well.
Oh.
And when there's no breeze, even if we have all the windows open, it just doesn't breathe very well.
Oh, really?
So you got to turn the AC on, or you at least got to turn on the fan to get some air circulation. Even if you're not using the AC, because otherwise it just feels, I don't know, stagnant a little bit. So I mean, we've got windows everywhere too. So I'm actually really surprised that we don't get more airflow. But as soon as there's a little bit of a breeze, then you're fine. But most of these RV parks, like the one we just pulled into a couple hours ago, that we're going to be here for a week now, I mean, it is just massive trees all around us and RVs all over the place. We're packed in here like sardines, but we've actually got a pretty nice spot. It's pretty big. I could probably park another RV right next to us, but it's nice because we've got our car right there. We've got the rig right here, sitting under the awning right now, so I don't get tree stuff falling on me, and it's not too bad. But still, no breeze whatsoever, and I can't believe it. We're like just a couple miles from Puget Sound.
Really?
And yeah, and it's pretty windy out there because we drove up Puget Sound all.
Yeah.
And you could just see the whitecaps out there in the bays. So, but still not much going on right here. So, yeah.
Just like the smoke from the city or something.
Anyway. Hold on 1 second.
Oh yeah.
For some reason I stopped the recording. Now I'm gonna have 2 files.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. No. I don't know. Did you say smoke from the city?
Yeah.
From Seattle.
Yeah.
No. Although I wonder because the reason we're here is because we've got an old family friend, and they've got they call it the beach house. They've got a house right on Puget Sound here, just a few miles from here. We're probably going to go there a few times this week and visit. And I'm pretty sure from that house that they can see Seattle. I don't know if there might be some other peninsulas or something in the way. I'm not sure if they have a direct line of sight, but that would be something, because I'm sure at right times today you can probably can't see smoke because Capitol Hill is on a hill. It's a hill right at the top of Seattle as you're coming from the waterfront, and if you're going to see smoke anywhere, it's going to be right there.
Interesting.
So yeah, pretty crazy times.
God, man.
Right.
Oh my God. I mean, I'm almost like depressed to open like the New York Times and like start looking through the paper.
Yeah, I hear you.
And ironically, all these cities set for federal invasion are like the cities I wanted to take my bike to on the train eventually.
Take your bike to on the train? What do you mean?
Yeah, the reason why I spent all this time restoring my vintage English 3-speed bicycle is so I could hop on a train with my bike and have my big bag with me and just go to these places, set up in a motel and then just go biking around.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, because I mean, I enjoy camping,
Yeah.
and I'm going camping like next week, or I guess next week. I guess that starts tomorrow. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go camping everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear. Where are you going this week?
There is a town, see, west of Ely called Hamilton, and it's a ghost town. Supposedly, it's in pretty decent shape, so I wanted to go around there and shoot some video.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Although, I mean, as long as I can start editing videos again, because otherwise, literally, I've got like so much video that I can't edit yet. It's almost pointless to go.
Why don't you tell people on this show what you've had up there lately? Because
Oh yeah,
you've been publishing every week on Wednesday, I think it is.
yeah,
And
most weeks.
you've been having some good stuff. Yeah. So what have you had this last month or so?
Let's see. Oh God, let's see. The first week. God, hang on. I almost forgot what I have on, so I'm looking at it now. Let's see. I know I did have a pedestrian survey crash course, and then
Nice.
the first week, and then see this Wednesday. I think that was when you and I were down in Ridgecrest. On the way back, I took some footage of Keeler, which turned out to be nothing, and then Swansea, which
Mm-hmm.
was interesting-ish. There wasn't like a lot left.
Yeah, Keeler was surprisingly disappointing for us because I thought it was a little more ghost towny, and there were some cool old buildings like the train station. But
Yeah.
I mean, people still live there. They don't live too. They're not living the high life,
No.
but they still live there.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
and that was surprising.
that is the interesting thing about some of the ghost towns I've been going to because what was it?
Mhm.
Belmont. In the 60s and 70s, when a lot of the info I was looking at was taken, it was a real ghost town, and now it's not. And like, I'm surprised at the number of I don't know what I'd even call them, like reclaimed ghost towns. I guess maybe you'd call them,
Hmm.
where people just
Yeah.
move in and then I guess retirees or people who just like doing their own gold mining or something, just go there and just like build these nice houses and like put these towns back into like I guess you can't even call them operations since basically it's just a bunch of homes most of the time. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's like super
yeah.
interesting. It's also
Yeah,
interesting that
it's
see, the first video I put up this month was 10 things I wish I knew before I got into field archaeology. It's been so long since I shot and edited that I don't even remember what was in it. But I feel like there's
Nice.
always stuff you want to know before you get into field archaeology.
Oh yeah, for sure, for
Oh
sure.
my god, you know what I've been doing that's super interesting this week? I might shoot a video, like when I go drop off some stuff in my storage unit. But I have been rearranging and like getting, how can I put this? I've been slowly updating my camping equipment, and like I finally got around to like reorganizing it so that it fits into the right size bins now, and it's not just like a one huge bin with a lot of empty space.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, and it's amazing how much smaller everything is. Like literally, I was looking at I was looking like there used to be one whole wall of my storage unit that was dedicated to like work equipment and camping equipment, and now now half the wall is like empty, and the shelving unit I've got left, it's like two of the shelves like literally are just like random junk that I just haven't gotten around to like getting rid of. They're not even work equipment anymore, and and so I dropped off like one more. I dropped off another load at the Salvation Army, and now I'm
Yeah.
like gonna bring some of the stuff back. And it's like I cannot believe how much, like it's. I mean, hopefully the amazement in my voice is coming through because it's like amazing how much smaller everything is. Like it's
No,
so
I-
incredible.
I totally agree. Like we for the longest time we've had those we've had a couple of older, we've had them forever, these older, just like the quick fold up camping chairs that kind of fold up into four legs up and down, you put them in a bag.
Yeah. Ooh.
We've had those for a long time, and we finally just replaced them with something a little more sturdy, something that's got a little side table on it. But you're right, when these things pack up, I mean the arms, the backrest actually folds down and then goes over to make a handle kind of.
Yeah.
And the package that these things fold down into is ridiculously small, and they're good, sturdy quality, and nice. And now I need to replace our camping tables because I don't like those anymore. Like the one I'm using right now, I just don't like it anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you organize and you get the right bins and things for stuff, like when we packed into this RV, there's I think There's one, two. I'm looking at them right here. There's 6 bays on the right side, on the passenger side, and I think there's 4 usable bays on the driver's side, because one of them is water, one of them's the propane.
Yeah.
You can't put anything in those, but so, and then 3 of these are pass through. So there's a little compartment that goes between them, over the across the whole coach. And we tried to organize when we first packed into here. We tried to get everything in its location, and we tried to group things together.
Yeah.
But when we got to my parents' house a few weeks ago, after being gone for a couple of weeks from the house, on the road, we took everything out. Everything. Took it out, repackaged it, took all our stuff that we had bins for, and refactored those bins. And then I drew a little map of our coach and then put a little code, to say what was in all those things. But we've got like the swim stuff, like, because Rachel's got a paddleboard, and we've got some swim goggles and swim shoes and another raft and stuff like that. That's all in one bin.
Yeah.
We actually brought camping stuff just in case. So we've got an overnight tent and sleeping bags and some other things. Those are in one bin. And, stuff like that. Like, I've got all my tools in one bin, and we just tried to, Rachel's got her crafting, two bays for crafting, basically, with her sewing machine and serger, and then all her yarn and fabric and stuff like that. So yeah, when we really packed down and organized, it was nice. We really were able to get everything in there. In a good way. We actually have tons of space left over. We've got a whole storage bay that's not even used, and 2 pass-throughs that aren't even used. So, and we're not necessarily going to fill them, but
I mean, I was originally thinking about, I was almost thinking about going down a size of my storage unit, but then I thought, well, if this field season truly does go south, maybe I'll just fill it with the furniture from my apartment and keep going. But Amy did mention something. She said maybe she wants to make videos rebutting some of the things I said from a female newer archaeologist perspective. And I was thinking about this last week because I realized, when I was walking around Idaho, that do you realize how because the person I was with has worked all over the country, and just like I have, and one of those things you realize is like how the equipment varies so much from region to region. Like, I mean, in California, I noticed when I was working in California almost all of last year, like, you hardly needed anything, like, at all.
Right.
Like, a lot of the archaeologists I worked with didn't even have a compass aside from me and one other dude. And it was kind of like amazing. Whereas out here, like, out here in Nevada in the Great Basin, there are just some things that just don't work.
Right. That's true. That's true. You got to have the right gear for the right location, and some places you use stuff and some places you won't. That's why it was when Rachel and I got rid of our apartment back in South Carolina 12 years ago and sold our cars and then bought a Toyota 4Runner. We were planning to work our way west, and we didn't know how long we were going to be on the road. So we had to pack basically everything we could into this 4Runner that would allow us to camp for multiple weeks at a time. Staying in a hotel room has its own set of gear. Like, as if you don't want to eat out all night, you got to bring your own cooking stuff and things like that. And then also we needed equipment for survey. We needed equipment for pedestrian survey, for shovel testing survey. We needed equipment for excavation. And it was just, you got to pack all that stuff with you. And it was 2 of us packing everything into a Toyota 4Runner. And, we, even so, there were still some things that we had to go buy, or some things that we just didn't have. Like, for example, we got to Ohio in the middle of February trying to do shovel tests in -5-degree weather. And after the first day of just totally trying to break apart these frozen chert nodules, we went and bought these like hammers. It's like a Stanley hammer with a pick on the end of it, and that's what everybody was using. So we went and bought 2 of those. In fact, I just saw those. I still have them, and so we bought 2 of those, and that helped out. But that's not the kind of thing we considered that we would even need. We thought we had everything. I mean, mostly we did, but if you're going to be on the road, you got to have all that stuff with you. Or if you're going to work in multiple regions, you have to be prepared to have all those things that you need to do that stuff.
Like, for instance, I mean, if you drop the California archaeologist off in like the Midwest, they would be completely mystified why
Mhm.
everyone has those giant clips on your backpack. But of course, if you work
Yeah.
in the Midwest, then that's where you clip your shovel testing screen to. Otherwise, you have to carry that thing in, and that's like a real pain.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
alternatively,
Totally.
once you get, I don't know, I want to say once you get west of Colorado, no one would even
Mhm.
know why you would even want to sharpen your shovel. Yet, you go
Right.
east, you go east of there, and people would be like completely horrified that you'd go around without a shovel that wasn't like sharpened.
Well, I mean, that's what you spend on your breaks in the East Coast. You either spend
Yeah,
your break and your lunch sharpening your shovel or sharpening your trowel, whatever,
yeah,
whatever it happened you happen to be doing at the time. Well, and that brings up a trowel too. Like
yeah.
I think in a decade of working in the Great Basin, I don't think I've used my trowel more than a few times, and that was only
Yeah.
because I've done just a couple of excavations. Mostly, it's been survey, and on nearly every survey, I mean, I have my trowel in my bag, but it
Same
never
here.
comes out ever, not
Yeah.
once.
Well, I mean, I use
Yeah.
mine. I use mine when I go to use the
Well,
facilities.
yeah, I mean that's really what it's for. But archaeologically, if that's all you're going to use it for, you may as well just bring a little garden shovel.
I know. Well, you know what I found out the other day? I found out that Marshalltown actually makes a plastic replica of their trowel.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was thinking about getting one just to replace my regular trowel with, since that's really the only reason I have it. And it's like, well, it'll probably be a lot lighter.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My God,
Jeez.
that would be super interesting. To just like take a survey, or like maybe take like a video survey of like what people from different regions use in the field as far as equipment goes. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it still blows my mind that there are certain places in the country where, or certain like most California archaeologists I've ever met, either they have those crazy, super crazy, fancy pocket transits, or they carry nothing. Like nothing at all. I'm
Well,
like,
and
oh, go ahead.
I think the thing people really need to remember is that just because something's working for you
Yeah.
doesn't mean it's going to work for other people. And I
True.
think one of the problems archaeologists end up doing, because you and I have both heard this probably a million times,
Yeah.
you'll hear somebody say, wait, you don't have this? Every archaeologist is supposed to have this. And then they realize they're the only one. And, or maybe they were on a crew or they worked for a company one time and
Yeah.
everybody, everybody synced up and bought the same gear and they all had these things because that's how we are as people.
Yeah.
And then you get to another crew and you're like, I can't believe none of you have these things. And listen, there are 100 different ways to do exactly what you're doing. And there's 100 different pieces of gear that'll get the job done.
True.
So, I mean, there's a few universals out there. Like, I don't know. I never saw this out west. I don't know what the deal is with people out west. I think they're like when you go out hiking in the desert, you just feel like you need to wear the right gear. But back east, we would see people show up on shovel testing projects that had, tennis shoes on, shorts sometimes,
Yeah.
tight jeans, like they're going out, a night on the town sort of jeans. And that's not just women, that's men too.
Yeah.
And but
I
women
noticed-
wearing makeup. Now, I'm not gonna begrudge a woman for wearing makeup, but it seems like a little bit of a waste of time to me if you're gonna spend a half an hour putting makeup on in the morning, which I know at least one person did.
Yeah.
And again, I don't, to each his own, but it seemed like a waste of time.
Well, I noticed that in California too. I noticed one person who, like, I was working with one person last fall who didn't own a pair of work boots. He only owned like sneakers, and he, in the 2 or 3 years he had been in the field doing archaeology, he had never ever felt the need to like upgrade to anything. Like, he wouldn't even seen it as an upgrade. He would have seen it as like uncomfortable. But the thing is, when you're in California
Well-
and you're primarily just walking across ag fields. And the thing is, if you are from the Midwest or from the plains, you hear walking across an ag field, you think of one thing, but when you're walking across them in California, you're basically just walking across a dirt field. There's like usually nothing in them at all.
And you bring up a good point about footwear, because so many people will say, oh, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you need this kind of boots and you need them to go halfway up your ankle and be this kind of boot and do these things. But I'll tell you what, if you look at your survey and your survey is not on a mine, for example, because then you need steel toe.
Yeah.
But if you go out for a hike, right? If you go out for a hike and maybe you're hiking off trail or something like that. Like, I've hiked up in the Desolation Wilderness before in the southwestern corner of Lake Tahoe.
Oh yeah.
And in a lot of those areas, it feels like you're off trail because you're just boulder hopping across this this like dry I don't know, I guess dry wash basically.
Yeah.
There's a creek that does go down through there, and sometimes it's more severe than others, but you're crossing trees and you're doing these things, and I'm doing that in like, trail hiking shoes. They've got tread on them, but they're not high tops, and
Oh, I've got
they're
those too.
Merrells, but they're basically trail hiking shoes. Yeah, and I love those kinds of things.
Oh yeah, I've got.
And
a
if you're on
couple
a
pairs of
project with the
those.
same type of terrain, yeah, exactly. And if you're on a project with the same type of terrain, just because you're working doesn't mean you have to wear an uncomfortable boot. You know what I mean? Like if you are fine, if you've got strong ankles and you're okay hopping around boulders, like I don't know, like that China Lake project I was on, there was a whole section where we were it was like basalt boulders all over the place. And I'll tell you what, whatever you can hop around those on, the better. Now we were on a mine. No, we weren't on a mine. We were on a military base. That doesn't really matter. They didn't care what we wore. But the rattlesnakes dictated I was going to wear some taller boots.
Oh yeah, my God.
not the terrain.
Yeah, I mean, my God, that was like me like last month. But oh God, was I just thinking?
Yeah.
I mean, when I was on that project in the Central Valley, I mean, literally no one carried a backpack. In fact, I think at least one or two of the field techs didn't even own a backpack. Like at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like they couldn't even conceive of why you would need to carry a backpack because literally we would just go out and then come back and we wouldn't be more than a couple 100 meters from the truck ever. So like they just couldn't conceive of why you would need a backpack.
Yeah.
Whereas here in Nevada, like there'll be entire projects where the only time you see the truck is at the beginning of the day and the end of the day. Oh, and Silver mentioned this.
Yeah, if you don't.
Oh, go ahead.
Mention Silver, but I'll say Silver's comment.
Yeah. Oh, you want to read it out? Go ahead.
No, okay, I'll read it then.
Yeah.
He says a month ago he found a DPR, which is the California site form from the 80s, where the woman was topless surveying in the Central Valley. I assume that's because you saw a picture, Silver, because I doubt they would mention that on the site record, so it must have been in the photos. That's interesting. But that was the 80s. Well, and then Amy mentions that she doesn't leave the house without mascara. She's like, I literally look like I'm dead, and that's fine, you know. And I've known plenty of women that will actually put on some sort of lip thing, which has it might have some color in it, but it's also like a protectant, like chapstick or something like that as well. But I will never forget this woman that I worked with in New Mexico. She was one of the tennis shoes, tight jeans wearing girls, which, okay, fine. If you're comfortable, great. That's fine with me. But she would put on so much makeup. And you could, like, the kind of makeup that you could really tell she had so much makeup on, with whatever the stuff that goes on your your cheeks and stuff is, and all that. And at the end of a hot, dusty day of screening in the New Mexico high desert, just about an hour from Chaco Canyon, she looked like a geisha, like that flat look where you just got because all the dust was sticking to her makeup, and you weren't really sweating much because I mean, even though you're drinking water all day long, it was so hot, it was just coming right off of you. So, you really had to watch dehydration out there. But so she wasn't like sweating through her makeup, but the dust would cake on top of it. And just, I mean, when I went over to the water cooler to get some more water, I always splashed some on my face. So, you generally keep your face a little dust free, but she couldn't do that because she had a face full of makeup.
Wow.
So,
oh,
but in the end too.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, in the end too, it really comes down to what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
It's if you're comfortable wearing that, I don't think anybody's going to say anything. And if you want to wear it, then wear it.
Yeah, it's like the way I wear a tie on occasion.
Oh yeah, there you go. Don't you generally wear one on the first day of every session?
Yeah, I mean, I used to wear it more, but then I felt like it was just like sometimes it's a little harder in the morning to get that tie just right.
Yeah.
Oh, and Silver recommends salmon. Salamins? I can never pronounce
salmon.
Them. But I feel like we could sit here all day and discuss shoe brands because everyone's got their favorite brand. Like, I know people who swear by Keens and won't wear anything else and other things.
Right. Well, Silver's one of those people that goes and does those ultra marathons where he runs 100 miles. So I'm going to take Silver's shoe recommendation over probably somebody else's.
True, but I've never had an issue with Merrells though, personally.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I do have to put super feet.
Yeah. I mean, that's not a shoe thing though. That's just a foot thing. I put super feet in them too, and It's just to help out your arches and
Yeah.
and it works better. Some people don't need them though, and some people do. But yeah.
Oh my God. Speaking of DPRs, it's a very long story, but when I was in Idaho a few weeks back, we had to chase down a few, and I do stress a few, as in like, two or three old sites. And
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at the Idaho site records, and I was like very amazed, but amazed in a good way. Like I've never seen like a 60-page site record before. It was like amazing. It was
60-page.
Yeah, and then there was another one where the person I was with didn't want to print it all out because he said it was something that was like hundreds of pages long, and we didn't need the hundreds of
Mm-hmm.
pages. But the thing is, it's like wow, it was like so interesting because he has also worked all over the country and seen all sorts of site records too. And I feel like if you've worked outside of California, the thing that everyone who has worked outside California and then comes to California comes to the conclusion of is that California, for all its much vaunted, you know, concern about cultural resources and stuff, produces what has to be the worst site forms I've ever seen in the entire country. like, like the worst, like literally the most useless
Yeah.
site records I've ever seen. Like you look at, I mean, I keep seeing site records from other places where they don't even give a crap about, like, their cultural resources. They're just going through the motions, and yet all these other states like produce like so much better site records, and I feel like it leads to better preservation. I might be wrong about that, but
Yeah, I think what California tried to do was probably a good idea because they must have had a problem with people not giving enough detail in the right areas. And so they made all these extra forms that try to highlight those certain things, like the milling station form really
Yeah.
gets me. I mean, how many milling stations are people recording across the state?
Not
There are
many.
certain parts of the state where they're everywhere,
Yeah.
right? But then there's other parts of the state where you just don't find them ever. And then there's there's all those other forms that they have. And I think it was designed to collect the right data for doing the right thing, but some people just get frustrated with that and they just end up putting everything on the archaeology form
Yeah.
and calling it good, right?
Yeah.
And
That's
building a
90% of
feature.
what I've
Like,
seen.
how many people do you know actually use the linear feature form? Yeah. How many people do you know use the linear feature for a linear feature rather than just
whoa.
writing down a basic road as feature 5?
Oh, wait. I have actually seen.
know?
I feel like it says a lot about this company, but I've seen a Far Western record where they actually used the linear feature form, and but that's Far Western, so.
Well, and I use it all the time, to be honest, because
Yeah.
I use WildNote, and WildNote has all the DPRs, and it's easy enough to just say linear,
Yeah.
fill in the blanks. You know what I mean? And I don't have to format it. I don't have to do anything. I'm not promoting WildNote anyway here as a commercial, but I mean, I am promoting it as something you should use. But
Yeah.
it's
Oh.
yeah, and if you're using some sort of digital interface, then it makes it easy to comply.
True. Oh, Amy says 60 plus pages of civilization, and the crazy part about this site record that I was like, literally, it's like a big packet. It was for 2 cabins, a road, some various features, like and what we theorized was like a spring shed, or like a spring shelter or cover. Even though in the site record it was,
Right.
whoever wrote up the site record was definitely not a historic archaeologist because some of their interpretations were very wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Looking at it on the ground. But
Yeah. No, I hear that.
And the cool
You know,
part.
sometimes.
Oh, go ahead.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, all right.
You finish your thought.
Well, I was gonna say that the reason why it was 60 plus pages is because they had background information on the site. The site had been surveyed before, so there were like pictures of like the site when it was first recorded and the site, the site when it was updated 2 years ago, etc. Oh, and Carl says Fegan says it had to be mostly photos, and some of it was photos, but some of it was actually background information. So like it like had it had like interviews from like someone who was a kid who had grown up there, and all sorts of stuff. Like you really got a feel for the site. It was crazy. And at field school, that's the interesting part, because at field school, we were taught that the whole reason you made these site records, even the terrible California site records, was so that A, you could get back to the site, B, you could figure out where it was, and C, you could figure out what was there. And yet I've read so many terrible California site records where literally they just filled in the minimum amount of information, and when I went to look for these sites, I couldn't figure out where it was. I didn't know where it was in the landscape, and I, didn't. I couldn't even imagine what was there. It just had like the most basic of information.
Right. Right.
Oh,
Yep. Well, you know,
yeah,
some of the times too is that these site records get so long is if it's an older site, and I mean older, and it was recorded 30, 40 years ago.
yeah,
If it's in an area that has to be resurveyed a lot, like for example on that mine that we both worked on up in northeastern Nevada. Sometimes, like I've got a site record up there that it's been recorded 3 times already, but each time the mine wants to do something, and if it's been over 10 years, then they have to re-record it, and then they leave it unevaluated for some reason, and then somebody else has got to go back in and look at it, and they leave it unevaluated, and now I've got to go back in, and the Forest Service in some of these cases wants the text of each previous site record in the site record.
Yeah.
So I'm only creating a 1-page description, but I'm attaching it to a 40-page site record. So, so the whole history of it's there.
yeah.
But hey, man, we are at an hour, so
we
I
are?
think we should probably call that because I've got some more editing to do tonight. Yeah. Let's just close this out by letting everybody know where they can get all this stuff. So,
Yeah.
arcpodnet.com / archaeology is where you'll find this show on the Archaeology Show. And if you want to follow us on Facebook and you're listening to this recording and you're not already on Facebook,
Yeah.
Facebook.com / arcpodnet. And I'll mention a couple other things about the APN. We have a new membership program if you're listening to this in July of 2020. All the existing members were moved to this program. We did warn you, we moved you about a month later, and it's $7.99 a month now for all the plans. There's no multiple plans now. It's just $7.99 a month, and you get access to our Slack team, our members only Slack team, and then you also get episodes ahead of time, usually when I'm far enough ahead, and but definitely ad free. So if you want to listen to them ad free, you can check into your member pages on the Archaeology Podcast Network.com page and then check those out. So Richie, what are the sources where they can find all your stuff?
Oh, I had a Happy Archaeology Fun Time. It's a website and my YouTube channel. But one last thing I did want to mention is it seems like you set up some merch for your YouTube channel. Do you want to plug that too?
Yeah, I mean, the YouTube channel is not really something we're necessarily plugging on these pages, even though my merch is on the APNT public page because I don't have another account there. But our Roadster Adventures, and that's RO, and the O is just got the little line over it because it's a long O, RODSTER Adventures.com. And if you click on our merch there, I just created a nice simple logo that we actually had and put in a decal and put on the back of the RV. That'll be up on our YouTube channel, that video of doing that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. It looks really nice back there. But yeah, if you're interested in following us on YouTube, look up Roadster Adventures, ROD, not ROAD, because that's the combination of my wife and I's last names. So Roden and Webster. And check it out. And you can get all the normal TeePublic stuff over there. We've each got Roadster Adventures masks. So we're masked up together when we go someplace. And she's got a t-shirt now, and they got all kinds of stuff over there. So yeah, check that out if you want.
Oh,
and Richie, we need to get your stuff up on the APN page. We need to get this logo up there.
Oh yeah.
And whatever else you want.
Oh, before I forget, anything interesting? I mean, I haven't listened to all the episodes, but I have been following the you and Alan Gold's adventures a little. You want to plug that show, or is there anything interesting coming up in that one?
Yeah, the Rock Art Podcast. I don't even know where we're at in our release cycle, but we have interviewed, Alan, really, and I've stepped back from the major part of the interview because it's really his show. I just stepped in when needed, so it's really Alan, and he's interviewed a few people. One guy named I think this was Eric Hansen, and I think that one just came out Friday.
Ooh.
But he was actually an early Hollywood visual effects person, and he did visual effects for The Fifth Element, and for what was it? There was another big one that I can remember. Oh, Castaway.
Really?
But he did a lot of that stuff and was an early pioneer in virtual reality and some other things. And now he's basically gotten out of Hollywood in the last 10 years, and him and another friend who is in the same industry, they started another company. I think it's called Blue Planet VR. There's a link in our show notes.
Ooh.
But they're doing more nature and cultural preservation type stuff. So he's working with Alan to do some VR stuff with rock art and some other things. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Also, another, I don't know where Alan meets these people, but there's another guy who's a cinematographer, and he's shot some amazing sites around the world, and we talked to him, and a bunch of good people, and we're probably 4 episodes ahead. So I'm excited for a lot of the stuff coming out on the show. So check out the Rock Art podcast. I believe it's at arcpodnet.com/rockart, or you can type in Rock Art podcast in just about any podcast player. Be careful, because it will search via SEO the titles, and other podcasts have talked about rock art. So look for the Rock Art podcast, not an episode labeled rock art.
And apparently Eric is episode 6, because I just looked it up. And that's
okay. That's what I thought. I couldn't.
Yeah, and that's the current one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one we just released 2 days ago. So if you're listening to this in real time.
Oh, and Amy said she had a comment on that.
Cool.
Episode
Oh, and Amy said episode 6 too. Yeah. Yes, she did. She did. Now, Amy, I need to get Alan into Slack, because, he's 68, and Slack and computers aren't his first language. But I will check on that, because that's a new channel. I'm not even sure if I'm getting notifications from it, so I'll check on that channel and make sure Alan responds. Amy also commented on one of our CRM Arc episodes in Slack, which is really cool, and that's one of the benefits of membership. Yeah, is access to the Slack team. I can't remember which one she was commenting on now, because I'm thinking of another comment that we just got the other day. But either way, go into our Slack channel and find out if you want to be over there. Richie, you're a member of that Slack team, so go check it out.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I was actually trying to look at that. Well, we can talk about this off the air. I was trying to look for it the other day, but apparently I don't have my Slack configured properly.
Gotcha. So.
All right,
everybody. Well, let's go ahead and end this broadcast. Thanks everybody for joining us live, and thanks all the listeners that are tuning in here. Be sure to share this out and subscribe to us wherever you can.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll be back next week. Although we'll see. I mean, you can never tell.
Yes, I am going to be at another location next Sunday, because we are moving to that location on Sunday from this location. So hopefully it's at the same time, because we usually like to check in by about 2:00.
Yeah.
And then it takes about 30-40 minutes to really set everything up. So we might be going straight into another. Although I've got Sierra Mark podcast next week at 2, so I got a plan for that too.
Uh-oh.
And we are interviewing, if it all goes well, we're interviewing the head of the Archaeology Union in Canada. Because
cool.
he heard our episode 179, I think it was, on archaeologists starting a union, one we just recorded not too long ago, and liked it, but had some comments. And I was like, all right, let's get on the show.
Cool.
So
well, that actually ought to be super interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Oh, and Amy said she was commenting on the Good Faith Effort episode. Yeah.
Oh, but if anyone wants to comment in Slack or the APN Facebook page, maybe they want to have any questions for this person. Maybe you should mention that, and maybe Archaeology Field Text, solicit questions or something, or comments. Yeah,
as soon as we nail down the actual interview, he hasn't. We haven't confirmed whether or not he can actually do Sunday. So when I do confirm that, then I'll definitely be soliciting some questions from people.
Cool.
So yeah.
Alrighty. See you, everyone.
All right. Well, thanks everybody, and thanks Richie for running the live stream, and we'll see you guys next week.
Haha.